Peace, love, and blessings, fam. Day 46 of Wisdom of the Ages by Wayne W. Dyer. If you've missed the previous recordings, you can catch them on TikTok or YouTube at Loyalty Life, spelled Lyfe Legacy LLC. Let's get into day 46. Inspiration. If you can keep your head about you when all are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn along after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can feel the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and, which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Rudyard Kipling. Born in India of English parents, Rudyard Kipling was a successful novelist, poet, and short story writer. During the 5 years he lived in Vermont, while publishing The Jungle Book and Captain Courageous, his popularity in America was second only to that of Mark Twain. This oft-quoted poem by Rudyard Kipling has long been a great favorite of mine. When I read it, I picture myself with any one of my 8 children on my lap while I impart the wisdom of the ages to his or her open and eager mind. In this fantasy, my child listens intently while I describe the secrets of the universe, as though I am the enlightened master who has discovered them through a lifetime of struggle, and now with fatherly wisdom pass them on to the next generation, who will use this knowledge to transform their world into fantasy. Rudyard Kipling's poem, If, does indeed inspire such a vision whenever I hear it, but it is purely a fantasy of mine. I have discovered truth in many of the tidbits of advice Kipling offered to his son in this poem, but frankly, I still work on applying this kind of advice in my own life every day. This famous poem by Rudyard Kipling, who won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1907, has so much to offer every one of us. The lofty ideas in his first stanza poem inspire me to be a better man each time I read it and share it with my children, students, and audiences. I have included If in this collection because of my desire to share it with you also. That is, I want you to feel inspired, not only to be able to help others to improve their own quality of life, but also to feel inspired to become a better person yourself. There are so many messages in these 32 lines of poetry Let me tell you what inspires me in this poetic advice. I'm inspired by the idea of being self directed enough to maintain my own sense of balance and integrity when I do not allow myself to become part of the madness around me. Irrespective of what others might think, be yourself is the advice, not only here, but in many of the selections in this book. And when I am able to do so without judging those around me, I feel heartened. I want my children and any others who may decide to make me their teacher to cultivate their personal integrity and balance in the face of any and all circumstances. I am inspired when I am able to use this hypocrisy I encounter to remind me of how much I dislike hypocrisy. At earlier times in my life, I frequently used other hypocrisy as a starting point of mine. If people lied to me, I could, at one time, choose to give them the same treatment, even though I disliked it myself. It feels much pleasanter to dislike being lied to so much that I work at not being that way myself. I'm inspired when I am a good loser in life. I have not always been this way, and I'm not always that way now, but I am much better at it today. I love the action and competition as much as ever, and I can now retreat in peace when the contest is over, and know in my own heart that the real me is unattached to outcomes. The act of participating means that you will win some and lose some, and the results are imposters posing as the real you. I would like my children to know that they are not their victories, nor are they their defeats. I feel terrific when I can read a lousy review of one of my books and honestly feel pretty much the same as when I read a glowing review. Trust me, it hasn't always been that way. I used to ask my agent, where am I on the bookseller list? Now I know the difference between myself and my books, and I don't ever inquire. But if I did, I now know to ask, where is my book on the bookseller list? Knowing the difference indeed makes all the difference. If you didn't catch that the first time he asked, where was he on the bookseller list? The second time he asked, where was his book? I now know that I am not what I do. I am now identified with that eternal invisible soul that watches the doings and knows that the wins and losses are mere shadows of the real me. I would love for my children and students to know this freedom. I am inspired when I can make my decisions in life based on how I feel rather than how things turn out or will turn out. Those are the times when I can turn down a lucrative offer to host a television show in favor of speaking at a benefit and not only not worry about it, but not feel the need to mention it to anyone. And the times when I can be generous anonymously. I'm inspired when I'm able to suspend judgments based on appearances, achievements, and acquisitions, and truly only see the unfolding of God in people. The temptation to compartmentalize people by these extremes is at times overwhelming, and I talk to my children about never losing their common touch. My family has been richly blessed with the ability to purchase. I am so proud when I see them share those blessings and resist the temptation to see themselves as more valuable than others based on this purchasing power. I am inspired when I see myself living from my heart and needing less and less to prove myself worthy. I am inspired when I can read poetry all day and then write about that rather than talking on a more financially rewarding activity. I am inspired when I notice that I no longer am compulsively attached to convincing others that I am right, even if I know the truth of what I am saying to be exactly right for me. I want my children and my students to know the joy and fulfillment of following their own destinies and pursuing their own heroic missions, even if those around them, including me, would prefer another course. All these qualities that Kipling so brilliantly portrays in his poem, If, signify to me what he truly means in his conclusion. If you can do all of these, you too will feel inspired, and yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more, you'll be a man, my son. This was his way of saying to his son that maturity is being your own person without judgment of others. When you are grown up in these ways, you will have everything you could ever want. To put these words of this classic poem to work in your life, today I have a simple suggestion for you. Just one this time. You follow, it usually has 4, 5 sometimes. Just one this time. Copy this poem and read it to yourself and those you would like to help acquire emotional and spiritual maturity. All the lessons are built right into the poem. That is, keep your head, trust yourself, be honest, be a dreamer, be detached, be a risk taker, be independent, be humble, be compassionate, be forgiving. It is all right there in this classic poem. The question you might have now begins with one word title: If. I'm going to go ahead and finish off how we started with the poem itself, because there's a lot I could add to it, especially about not feeling the need to pat yourself on the back when you do things for other people, and so many other things. And sometimes I don't even think it's an ego thing. Sometimes you just, in communication, may want to give as much detail as possible when expressing things that have happened or taken place. And some can see it as ego, but a lot of the times, just talking. So it takes some training to not have to tell when you've done certain things, especially in this age of social media, where a lot of times people do this to keep record of the things that they do, because they may have a nonprofit organization, or they may do philanthropic work that can only be accepted in certain regards by showing the proof of it. So I'll go over if again. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it all on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can feel the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. So, I hope from that you gained a new perspective on pushing through things, finishing up what you start, going through struggle, overcoming, without having to make that a part of your story, without having to make that a part of your identity. Never let your accolades or your accomplishments or lack thereof, I won't say failure, your lessons either way, never let those become your identity of who you are. Because once that happens, if you lose that credential or credibility, you now lose part of yourself. Know who you are without your accolades. That's why some are able to do the things that they do and not beg for attention, not need the pat on the back for something that was truly in their heart. And I thank you for having it in your heart to be here today, more so for yourself than for me or anything else. I appreciate you. I ask that you cultivate the ability to not have to share the accolades. And we again know it's not necessarily ego, you know, but some people will feel it's ego or you're trying to put yourself on a pedestal. Um, so, again, thank you for being here more so for yourself than anything. I ask that you walk in love, walk in light, walk in peace, and know that you are loved.